Hi, I'm Holly Sizemore, Chief Mission Officer for Best Friends Animal Society. And this is Jessica, my deaf, blind 20-year-old cat, who's sitting in for my usual co-host, BG, today. Most people don't want to support the puppy mill industry. But was that puppy that you or your friend adopted online, in fact, a puppy mill puppy? Find out in today's Saving America's Pets. Thankfully, most people do not want to support the puppy mills. Thanks to the work of organizations like Best Friends, Humane Society of the United States, and many others, the general public overwhelmingly understands how commercial breeding operations, aka puppy mills, are often cruel places, churning out dogs for profit with little to no regard for the well-being of the breeding dogs in their care. The problem is, it's difficult for the general consumer to know which puppies come from puppy mills, and that's how puppy mills want to keep it. A growing number of local governments have banned retail pet stores selling puppies sourced from commercial breeders, and it's totally hip, as well as immensely rewarding, to adopt from a shelter or nonprofit rescue group. But consumers are still being duped into thinking commercial breeders are responsible breeders. Today, we are delighted to speak to Elizabeth Oreck, manager of Best Friends National Puppy Mill Initiative, and we'll learn how you can make sure that you are humanely acquiring that new puppy or kitten. Welcome, Elizabeth. I call you EO, so it will be hard for me to say Elizabeth, so we'll just say, welcome, EO. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Holly. I'm thrilled to be here.
Let's talk about puppies and puppy mills. During this last 18 months, reportedly many people got puppies as they were spending more time at home. What advice do you have for people when they are looking to bring a new puppy into their family?
So I always recommend that people start by visiting their local shelter or rescue group. If they're looking to bring a pet into the family, we always encourage people to consider adoption first. Pet Finder is a great resource for looking at all types, all ages, all sizes of puppies and dogs and kitties and cats all across the nation. I think a lot of people aren't prepared for all of the work that goes into a puppy, and dogs or puppies for a very short period of time, and then they're adult dogs for a very long period of time. So I think opening your options to dogs that are a little bit older, who are still very trainable, who are still very, still have a long life ahead of them is a good thing as well, because that'll just give more options to you and your family.
So are you saying that you can teach old dogs new tricks? Is that what you're telling me?
You can teach old dogs, young dogs, middle-aged dogs, teenage dogs. All dogs are capable of learning, and all dogs can be wonderful companions. And fostering is a great way to try out certain dogs while providing a really great service to a shelter or rescue group who may need more foster homes. And then you really get to do a trial by fire, as it were, to see if that pet is the right fit for your family. And if not, that's okay. You've provided that service. You've given that pet a temporary home. You've helped socialize that pet for the next family. And then you can move on and try again. So it's a really great win-win for shelters and for people looking to get their feet wet in the dog world.
That is great advice. And for people who really do want a puppy, they've done the research, they've decided that for whatever reason they want to get a puppy, and they can't find one at their local shelter or rescue group. How can you help them make informed decisions about getting a puppy from a breeder? What do they need to be looking out for?
Well, the most important thing is to do some research. So one of the advantages that brick and mortar pet stores have, and that online platforms that sell puppies, or like Craigslist that offers puppies for sale, is that they cater to the impulse of falling in love and taking that puppy home today. And that's very dangerous, because without working with a responsible breeder directly, you are opening yourself up to the possibility that you're supporting a puppy mill or a backyard breeder. And so if somebody can't find the puppy of their dreams through adoption, we recommend that they find a breeder in their area that they can visit so that they can see for themselves the conditions under which the puppies are raised. They can meet the parents of the dog. They can establish a relationship with that breeder, and they can look for certain things that responsible breeders do, such as provide a spay and neuter contract, provide an agreement that if anything ever goes wrong over the life of the puppy, that they will take that dog back, that they can see that there aren't hundreds and hundreds of dogs on the property and that there aren't a whole lot of different breeds being sold. Those are all signs of a puppy mill or a backyard breeder. And we really want to encourage people to find a reputable, responsible breeder who's doing things right. And those breeders do exist, but you have to find them and you have to meet them for yourself. If you're buying a dog sight unseen online, or meeting somebody in a parking lot, that's not going to ensure that you're supporting a responsible breeder, and that's not going to ensure that you're getting a healthy, well-bred animal.
What else do people need to be looking out for?
If somebody, doesn't want you to see where those animals are raised, that's a red flag. But I think generally, anytime you're not able to meet the puppy in person, meet the breeder in person, and see the parents of that puppy that you're considering, those are all times when you should really think twice and perhaps walk away.
What about people who say did have an accidental litter or they found a pregnant mama dog? How do people know the difference between those kinds of people who may post on things like Craigslist versus an inhumane breeder?
I would look at the adoption fee. If somebody is legitimately trying to find responsible homes for that oopsie litter that they had, or they're moving and they can't take their dog with them, then that's going to be a legitimate source of a new pet. And it all comes down to what they are asking for in terms of an adoption fee. So if somebody is trying to place a puppy for $50, that's a whole lot different than the $12,000 puppies that we're seeing for sale on Craigslist and the $8,000 puppies we're seeing for sale in pet stores.
What about some responsible hobby breeders who breed these sort of exotic breeds that do tend to go for more money? I'm assuming there are some dogs who may be $1,000 that are being bred by someone responsible. How do you distinguish in those situations?
Well, again, you'd be allowed to go and visit that breeder's home and you'd be able to see those animals for yourself.
I heard that breeders oftentimes will try to unload the puppies at 5-6 weeks of age. Is that a thing?
It is a thing, and it's an unfortunate thing because it's one of the reasons that we see health problems and socialization problems and psychological problems, because puppies need to stay with their moms at least until they're 8 weeks old. And the problem with them being in a pet store at 8 weeks is that means they've been taken away from their moms at maybe 5 weeks or 6 weeks. They've been sent to a broker. Then they've been transported on trucks across the country, all so that they can arrive in that pet store window at 8 weeks when they're at their most adorable and they're, most saleable. And that's just not good for the long-term health of that puppy.
What is the state of puppy mills in the US?
I've had the privilege of seeing the evolution of this issue from the time that I started working on it in 2007, when there were thousands more puppy mills. Very few people even knew what a puppy mill was. Very few laws existed to try and eliminate the problem. And now there's so much more awareness about the issue. People are much more supportive of adoption in lieu of purchasing a puppy mill puppy, and much less willing to knowingly support that cruel industry.
Is there bad news?
Despite how terrible the conditions are in puppy mills and the suffering that these dogs are experiencing, puppy mills are legal. And so we can't just shut them down. We have to attack this from all different angles, through legislation, public education, promoting adoption, engaging the media, really utilizing every tool in our toolbox. And the good news is that it's just been really inspiring to see how many communities across the country have related to this issue and have really taken a stand to prevent the puppy mill pipeline from coming into their communities. And that has ranged from regulating the mills themselves and requiring better standards of care, to requiring more pet store transparency, to approaching it from the retail end by passing laws that prohibit pet stores from selling commercially bred dogs, cats, sometimes rabbits, and instead allowing them only to adopt out rescue animals, which almost 400 cities, counties, and states have done in the past 15 years. And that's really exciting because I remember when the first puppy mill sales ban passed in Albuquerque in 2006, and I was involved in the fourth one, which was in West Hollywood in California. And then we worked really hard to help the city of Los Angeles become the first major city to enact a humane pet sales ordinance. And that was really the big turning point because it opened the doors for large cities and counties across the country to enact similar legislation. And now we have 3 states that ban puppy mill sales statewide. And there's so much more pending at the local level and the state level. It just doesn't make sense to keep manufacturing dogs and cats when there are so many amazing, healthy, treatable, wonderful dogs and cats of all ages that are losing their lives in our nation's shelters simply because they don't have a safe place to call home. So the public can be a part of that solution by choosing to adopt their next pet instead of buying from a breeder or from a pet store. We can save all of the animals that need homes. And that's what we are trying to encourage everyone to do.
Thank you, EO.
Thank you so much, Holly. It was a pleasure.
Best Friends will continue to advocate for stronger regulations on commercial breeding, and will also continue to do everything we can to encourage and empower people to open their home and hearts, first and foremost, to a wonderful pet in need of rehoming. Thank you for doing your part, whether it be adopting a pet from your local shelter, helping a neighbor rehome a pet they can no longer keep, or maybe it's signing a petition to end puppy mills. You truly are the answer to ending inhumane breeding. For more ways you can connect with others acting on behalf of animals in your community, look for the link in the description on how to join your local 2025 action team, because together we can save them all.